Tejo just released the up-and-coming Tejo nerfs, and honestly, they've completely annihilated him. So I'll talk about the rockets in a second, which are the main parts that really have taken him completely out. But the other changes are the drone price has gone from 300 to 400, the special delivery stun has gone from 300 to 200, and the points for his ult have gone from 8 to 9. So the drone price actually makes a lot of sense. It's very similar to Silver Drone's 400, kind of makes sense. Special delivery stun has gone from 300 to 200. Honestly, it should have been 200 before anyway. And this is mainly because they want to keep his economy in line. But I also think as well, the stun isn't really that high on his power budget. So it kind of makes sense that this would be costing less because honestly, it's not really a 300 credit ability, to be honest. Next is the Armageddon. And the ult points going from 8 to 9 makes a lot of sense. It's one of the best ults in the game. It's one of the most consistent ults in the game. It basically always gets value for what it's doing. As long as you can place it in the right position, right? It's basically, and it's one of the easiest ults to kind of place in a good position as well. So honestly, it's one of the best and easiest ults to use. So it just makes sense that it's 9. Okay, so now we'll move on to the rockets, which are the main portion of this change. So spawn with one rocket and can purchase the second for 150. Map range reduced from 55 meters to 45 meters. And rocket cooldown has been removed. So I actually kind of predicted 1.5 of these things in my Tejo problem video, where I said that I think it would be better if the spawn with one rocket, like basically having 2 charges on the rockets with one rocket per charge, would be better for Tejo. It would introduce more thought process, and I'm happy they actually are doing this. Because what it will actually do is it means that you have to actually kind of choose if you want to use both charges or if you want to hold on to one for post plant. I think it makes a lot of sense. I am on the fence about the rocket cooldown being removed, but I'll talk about that when we get to it. Map range reduced from 55 meters to 45 meters, and this is a good change. I actually did talk about this as well in my other video. I didn't necessarily think they were going to touch the map range, but I did talk about how strong it was for Tejo specifically, where he can essentially play a bit more map controlling and play a bit more like a sentinel by controlling mid and that kind of stuff, while still giving his rockets to his team to help them take the site. And then he can kind of wrap back around or make some sentinel-esque play, waiting for his rockets to come back off cooldown to then play the post-plant Tejo. So honestly, it's immensely strong the way that he can play those situations out. And that still exists, just to a lesser extent. With the 55 meters to 45 meters, it also helps to tie him more to the bomb in range. So then he is able to be basically tracked down easier. With like situations where you want to kind of fight him before he actually puts in his rockets, it's going to be slightly easier to do that. He's less slippery in the post-plant situations because he has to be 10 meters closer. So generally that should help a tiny bit more with his post-plant problems. And the last thing is the rocket cooldown being removed. And I'm on the fence about this because I think it takes away from what a signature ability is. And I still dislike it on Skye, and I think it's very clear that Skye is immensely weak because of no cooldown. And I think that I am hesitant to think that Tejo is the same. I think it's a bit different here because I think that if I compare his rockets to every other Molotov in the game, he still probably has the strongest set of Molotovs across the round, right, throughout a round. Because he can be that exec molly, and he can also have the post-plant molly. And not even Viper can do that anymore. So he still has something that's unique to him in that way, where he can still do the exec molly and the post-plant molly. Or he can even have double post-plant molly if he really wants to now as well. In fact, if anything, it's stronger to hold both for the post-plant. So that's probably the reason why they have removed the cooldown, right? Because if they kept the cooldown, he would use one in taking the site, get a cooldown back. In like, so it's, say if it's a 40-second cooldown, right? Then it would be, say if you plan to like 10 seconds after the exec originally starts, then he'll get it back in 30 seconds. So when the bombers like tick down to like 15-ish seconds, he'll have a second charge of his salvo. So then he can use both of them separately to basically space out his mollies better than what he could do before with his like double rocket one, which would go off instantly. Both of them would hit basically at the same time. So if anything, he has increased capability of delaying the bomb now. It's just a matter of holding his salvos for that. And that's the reason why the cooldown was removed, right? But to me, I actually think they could have just increased the cooldown to about 1 minute 20, or about maybe even more than that, but probably 1 minute 20, because at that point, he can't really do that play unless he saves both of them like he would do now. And on top of that as well, I think it would allow for a bit more decision making when it comes to when you actually use your first original salvo, because then you would want to get the cooldown back, and it would introduce a bit more thought process than just flat out removing the cooldown like what was done now. And I think that it wouldn't even make him too weak either, because I actually do think that he's in a fine state. It's just going to be a bit overblown with how much of a nerf this might be. So I do think he's still fine, but I think it might kill his play rate until people realize that he's still okay. I don't think he's by any means the strongest. Like, he's not strong anymore. And I think he's going to be more middle of the pack now. But I don't think he's like super weak in a way that Sky was super weak and is still super weak. So yeah, that's my thoughts on Tejo. I am open to think about this differently, so I'd love to know what you guys think in the comments below. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you in my next one.